Oh, we already have Joel Embiid taking shots at Ben Simmons after the game, basically saying that this is the greatest I've ever seen. 5-on-5 basketball is so much better than 5-on-4. James Harden facilitating in the half court is magnificent. And before we break it all down, if you are new to the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate all of your support. If you are looking to buy tickets to go to the Wells Fargo Center to get your ass in the building and witness this live, you better go to SeatGeek right now. Utilize the promo code BROADS at their checkout page. You get $20 off. Put that towards beer. Okay, so then you can get drunk and scream at James Harden when he's making plays and cashing in and ones. Isolation at the top of the three-point line. SeatGeek promo code BROADS. And then lastly, Broads Media on TikTok. We're incorporating a lot of fun there. And let's have at it here. Let's have some fun tonight breaking down this puppy. And there were times when it got weird because the referees were calling every single damn foul. It was so bizarre and obnoxiously pathetic. The flow of the game that was snagged away from us, and it was basically robbed because the referees elected to just, I don't know, forget how to ref the damn sport of basketball. But ultimately, there was a nice surge early on. A lot of threes were being made. But the moral of the story and the takeaway is the two-man game and the professionalism of James Harden in the half court. Oh, he's so washed. Oh, he's so awful. No, you know what he does? Do you see the spacing difference? That final three made by Tyrese Maxey, I believe it was his final shot because the Sixers were annihilating so much that they were able to actually get off the floor, all of their starters, and put their feet up comfortably, knowing that that was all she wrote and the Sixers won the damn basketball game. But Tyrese Maxey had, I think, 6,000 feet in between him and the closest defender because James Harden is that much of a threat. And it's so insane, the difference. See, we've been brainwashed, and I was part of the brainwashing experience, no doubt. But there was an area of time where we got brainwashed into thinking that, oh, this isn't it. No, the issue is Ben Simmons doesn't shoot a basketball. And James Harden is a damn weapon. So when you are defending him and you realize that he can step back and cash a three in your face, and if you contest it, you're probably going to foul him. And if you foul him, now it's a 4-point play. Or, hey, we have to find ways to definitely make sure he won't beat me. Oh, what's that? Maxey's wide open. Maxey had the opportunity to let this game just work in his favor with his speed. And a few shows ago, a fantastic listener called in and asked a question about who I thought this would help the most, the James Harden edition. And I think naturally we all feel, well, Joel Embiid, obviously, because he now has a stud and he has a game changer to roll with and to pop with. You saw that deep three that he made, right? You come around the screen, Joel Embiid hangs out, 6 feet further from the actual three-point line and cashes it in. And it was a weird start for him, right? He wasn't shooting well from the field, but what do you know? When he does have tough nights and the ball isn't finding the back of the rim, he ends up getting to the line and getting some free throws. And he was 9 for 11, the 1 point that I looked at his box score throughout the game and said, okay, it's been a tough one. It's been a weird one. It's been a shaky start. Now his finger started to bleed. He had the blood gushing there. You also know that he's had wrist problems even before the All-Star break, and I'm sure that that's going to continue to linger throughout the rest of the regular season and into the postseason, but he's done just a fine job of battling through that adversity. And my point is, Embiid did figure out his game. He started making some mid-range jumpers right inside that paint area, that soft touch jumper that we all love so much that basically is wet, never touches the back part of the iron, never touches the back part of the rim. And sometimes that's nice, though. You know when you drill a shot and it just hits that back iron and kind of even almost finds you again when you're playing at the local bar, you're just putting up jumpers, right? You're hitting step backs by yourself, hits the back rim. But it's even better when it's the soft touch that perfectly flows the ball into more towards the back part of the backboard. And it's just, that's Joel Embiid's money spot. That's what he does. James Harden, though, not only found him with some of those scenarios, it almost was as if, and it seems like a cliche cliche thing to say right now because almost everybody is saying it, but everyone's saying it and tweeting it out there for a reason because it is so damn eye-popping, because it is so damn sensational. But James Harden found so many people and put them in so many positions to succeed that they were almost stunned and baffled on what him being there really was going to do. We all talked about it for weeks, right? Well, the spacing, and we knew it was going to be real, but the players almost had to experience it and recognize, holy hell, this is different. Oh man, whoa, this is what it's going to be like. And someone who is Tobias Harris, for example, is going to have nights where wide open looks just didn't cash in, wasn't capable of necessarily knocking them down. But I'll play my numbers game over a long period of time with Toby, and I think he'll be just fine and play more like that 6-week span that we saw prior to the trade deadline compared to what we saw tonight. I saw early possessions, though, that I liked out of him. And I even thought defensively on Karl-Anthony Towns, he was part of the process that got Karl-Anthony Towns so disappointed, so disgusted, so bothered, right? I mean, seriously, Karl-Anthony Towns just throwing his body all around, and he's getting all pissed off and annoyed, and that totally took him out of his mojo and out of what he probably wanted to establish early on in the action. And I thought Tobias played some important minutes on him and definitely opened up the door for that to even occur to begin with. So he still did have an impact. Same with Matisse Thybulle, who had an impact. I still get annoyed and bothered every time he misses a wide open three because I never feel comfortable with him shooting it. It just never seems like it's actually going to work. But the tip that happened before halftime was major. Obviously, he started some plays with the defensive intensity that opened up Tyrese Maxey's game and just his speed, the ability to get Maxey going. James Harden being new here was going to open up Tyrese Maxey's game the most. And I don't even know if I finished my sentence that I started about 5 minutes ago about a previous caller. It might even been longer than that. Who the hell knows? I just ramble. But there was a previous caller that asked who is going to be impacted the most. And maybe I shut the door in that conversation. Like, I honestly forget. That's how many things are bouncing around my brain where I might have even capped off that statement and that thought, and maybe I didn't. I have no idea. I honestly have no idea. All I know is James Harden, 12 assists, 8 rebounds. Well, they need to do better at rebounding. Well, they lost a lot in Ben Simmons. You're not wrong. They did lose a lot in Ben Simmons. Don't devalue and downplay what James Harden does, because James Harden is mind-blowingly fantastic at rebounding and finding his teammates too. Do you see what shooting a basketball does for a defender on ball with someone who is a primary ball handler that is an elite pass? James Harden is an absolute nut job at passing the basketball. He's not just a one-dimensional player. This is what a lethal, scary offense provides. Now, we do have some donations coming in. We have the Anytime Hotline available to speak to you live. 856-442-9805 is the phone number if you want to hop on board and have some dialogue with me about what the hell we just saw. We got $5 coming in from Brandon. Okay, opposing teams, pick your poison. MVP, who takes double teams like a champ already. Tyrese Floater City Maxey, or the beard. Maxey was absurd, right? I mean, that floater, the speed was even more eye-opening than it ever was. And I think it's because of the way that James Harden has more of that professional run with his style, right? That's what he does. When he's dribbling up the floor and he's starting to set things, it's such a slowed down, real pace of hoops, NBA hoops, legitimate, serious. I actually know what I'm doing. I know how to run an offense style. So when you give it to Maxey with more space, what are you going to do if you're a defender? Embiid, Harden, or this kid who looks like he's the fastest human on earth and he's flying around at 6,000 miles per hour? Which threat do I have? And I know Tobias stunk today when it came to actually delivering and shooting the basketball well, but I do feel over time when you give him more opportunities and the advantage is in his favor because there's so much space in front of him to let it fly. He'll be okay long term. But tonight, yeah, okay. And that's why I always stated, look, we touched on it for a whole damn week and a half, it seems like. You have Embiid, you have Harden. Then your 3A, 3B is going to be a combination, depending on the night, of Maxey or Tobias. And Maxey defensively, he had a handful of steals, 4 steals, and he was a menace on that side, making sure there's a lot of disturbing occurring, and he was flying around town. I loved every single moment of seeing him take advantage of his floater, of his threes. I love seeing him shoot the damn basketball in general, 12 of 16. And speaking of efficiency, the beard was 5 of 7 from 3, 7 of 12. I love that here I have Embiid slow start field goal wise, but finished with 34 and 10. You saw your 3-headed monster, and tonight it happened to be Maxey as your 3, but you saw your 3-headed monster play. And this is what you should anticipate, and this is what you should see. Now, I know that the bench, and we're going to get to the phones in one moment, the bench was definitely an issue at a time of late third quarter, went to the all-bench 25. I didn't have a problem when you're up 25 to put it in all-bench. That's fine. But I was screaming at the time of watching the game, and I want to thank everybody who came out and watched the live watch party with me, the live stream. I had a great time. There were some giveaways given out, and congratulations to all the winners. We had a giveaway each quarter, and I also showed my shoe selection as we are forming into a sneakerhead. So that happened too. I showed off my Jordan 1s, my Jordan 3s, my SBs, my Dunks, my New Balance 550s. We had a blast. But anyway, getting back to the moral of the story is, okay, Doc, it's getting ugly. Now go back to what you want to. And I figure that some of Maxey's foul trouble issues, where he had about 4 personal fouls, definitely played a role in why some of those decisions were made. And then Doc Rivers confirmed that during his post-game press conference. So I figured that there was some sort of momentum killer early on that was going to backfire due to the poor calls made by the referees. But at the end of the day, we still saw Tyrese Maxey flourish, and this is what I expected. It's just now you see it happen, and it almost has the light bulb go off where you think, oh, damn, this is real. Okay, this isn't just talking about it now. Now you get to witness it and experience it. And there was a time where I thought, this is somewhat of a boring game. Get used to it. Get used to it, because this is what happens when your offense turns into a dynamic piece, okay? You're going to end up outscoring some of these opponents, and you're going to start destroying them even more because there's way more of a structured, real professional offense being ran, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing to witness. With that, let's just get right to the phones here, even though I say right to the phones as if I didn't give you my 15-minute opening monologue. As you can tell, my brain must be fried from just a long day of finally getting you. We're finally here. My brain's trying to wrap around itself and gather all that information. Anyway, to the Anytime Hotline, good evening. You are on the show.
What's good, bros, man? How you doing?
I'm feeling great, dude, honestly. It's like now I'm taking those deep breaths going, we just lived that. That wasn't a dream. I wasn't staring at the top of my ceiling trying to fall asleep and thinking of Embiid highlights like maybe I do if I'm a psychopath. Maybe I do that. But we actually got to see this play out. It was real.
Yeah, man, it was insane. It was insane. That step back for the 4-point play, it was. I've got one question to ask you, man.
Okay.
When in the fuck did we sign Willie fucking Cauley-Stein on the goddamn bench?
Well, see,
When
I think I think that that's a little bit of an overreaction because first off, it's a 10-day contract. 2, it's buyout market territory. There's too much emphasis on what buyout market players provide. Do you know why we should be happy right now? Because we have James Harden and Joel Embiid. And I know you are happy about that, and that's not going to overshadow everything. But you're not winning an NBA championship because you have Lopez playing 7 minutes or Willie Cauley-Stein playing 7 minutes. What's happening here is you have a real chance to win a damn title because you got to see what an offense runs like in a half-court set with a dude that can actually score and is a walking bucket and is an elite passer and can rebound as well. The dude does it all. So I think that because I've seen the reaction over Willie Cauley-Stein. There's really no reason to be that upset about it because no buyout market player is really going to be the difference in you winning or losing a championship.
Oh, I'm not upset about it. I'm just finding it funny. He's just been so many times around the league. I thought I was dreaming when I saw him on a Sixers uniform. I was like, I was like, This dude's been passed out more than Snoop Dogg in a green room, man. I didn't see this coming all day.
That's amazing. I appreciate the phone call. Maybe I misread the tone of it originally, but I have heard that Instagram. What are they doing? As if now's the time to question Daryl Morey after Daryl Morey exploded and traded Ben Simmons for James Harden. After the same people that are somehow upset with the trade afterwards would have done it for a Tyrese Halliburton, right? I mean, now you have to trust Daryl Morey more than ever before. I want to get to some of these donations. $2 donation from Mr. Bling. Looked like a bullet today. Harden unleashed him. Reese looked like a bullet today. Harden unleashed him. I like that. The little Tyrese as the nickname. We go Reese for Tyrese Maxey. Absolutely. The speed and the ability to fly by defenders really open up now. And there's just so much room for everybody else to establish their respected game. And it's going to be even more intense as games play out because this is just them getting thrown into the fire. Wait until there's more chemistry built. $2 from Joel or Joel. I don't know exactly how it's pronounced. Joel Embiid. Joel Farabee. But bros, what the fuck did I just watch? Let's go. 133 points. You watched an abomination of a Minnesota Timberwolves team. And what you saw was the complete opposite of a Philadelphia 76ers team. This is going to be enjoyed. A joy for the rest of time. I see people complaining about Isaiah Joe right now not playing instead of Furkan Korkmaz. I'm sorry. I can't. The last thing I'm thinking about is Isaiah Joe. Everything I'm thinking about is James Harden. And let's see what the next caller thinks about that as well. Good evening. You are on with Bros.
The fucking beard, baby.
The fucking beard is correct. I want to know. What do I call this the Abraham Lincoln? All right, I'm giving my James Harden attempt right now with the facial hair. 1 to 10. I need your honest opinion. Be honest. I don't like liars here. What do you give my Abraham Lincoln / James Harden attempt? 1 to 10, 10 being amazing.
Rosie, I think it's growing in nice. I give it a few weeks. I think it'll full in a bit. I wish you could see me right now. I've been throwing it in since before the trade. I've been thinking he's going to be here for a very, very long time. I'm not, in a perfect world, I'd be growing out for the Flyers too, but fuck. let's focus on the good shit.
I love it. That reaction, by the way, and thank you so much. I'm going to go make sure that in my head he said 10 about the beard, even though there was no full-on answer to it. The reaction of the, fuck. I mean, it describes everything, right? But let's focus on the happy. Let's focus on the great. And let's think about the fact that one game after Joel Embiid played with James Harden, he puts on that headset and he basically said, whoa, I was unaware of the benefits when it comes to how much room I have to play my game. Wow, seeing it firsthand is a totally different experience. We're talking, 7, 8, 9 seconds later, 9 seconds after the buzzer goes off and the zeros are clicking off the clock. It didn't even get Joel Embiid to the finish line yet, which is talking to the media, which is when at times we hear him make some sort of comments. It was right there with Allah and Kate Scott. How about it? I want to see if we get any other quotes after the game. James Harden has tied Ben Simmons on the Sixers all-time three-pointers list made. That's hysterical. Maxey is very happy that he's on the right side of Harden's step-back threes. He's being humble, but he was great tonight. That was what Tyrone Johnson tweeted out about 5 minutes ago after hearing Tyrese Maxey. This Twitter feed is sensational. It makes me so happy that this is real. And there's a difference between if I thought that this would just be a one-game thing, right? Like, for example, George Niang the other night. That's amazing, but it's not something I feel is sustainable for a long period of time. Now, he's going to have more advantages now because of all this. So if he lets it fly and does what James Harden told him to do the other night in Milwaukee, which is, I don't want you to start dribbling the ball off your feet and it goes out of bounds. Focus on your game. And what we will do as a team is we will put everyone in a great position based off of making everyone else's game excel, right? Everyone, if you maximize what you do and put the proper spacing around each other, you will find George Niang games that explode the way that they did in Milwaukee, more so than when you don't have that and there's limitations with your offense, whether that's not having a real primary guard. They were running, literally, the Sixers were running offenses at one point with Furkan Korkmaz being your primary ball handler. And don't forget about when Danny Green had his head pop in there too as a point guard. And we're going, what? What are we doing? That's not the case anymore. That won't be real. The 25-point lead that they had, take it for what it is. If it was a 6-point game, a 7-point game, an 8-point game, I don't anticipate Doc Rivers doing that at all. I think he was somewhat maybe trolling the fan base, and I actually am okay and support that with that specific circumstance. And you don't have to worry about that anymore. You don't. This offense, though, this is a sustainable style. I've watched the NBA long enough. Now, the Sixers haven't had it, but the league has this all the time. I see plenty of other high-efficient offenses roll and get going and get all the shots they're looking for. And when they cash in a good percentage of them, good night, Minnesota, or good night, anybody else that has a jersey on the other side. I wouldn't want to be you. That's for damn sure. What was it? D'Angelo Russell made some comments about having to stop them. Idiots. Back to the phones. Good evening. Thank you so much for calling in. How do you feel right now after watching that game?
Holy shit. I shit my pants watching what I saw today. I did not expect to go this well. I mean, I'm giving Harden, his new nickname is Moses.
Moses.
God, did he spread the floor. Holy shit. And then the other thing I want to bring up real quick. I mean, I was never really a big Ben Simmons fan, and everybody said, oh, look at his passes are so good. Harden's on another fucking level with his passes. I was floored on how he got people in like perfect lanes and the scoring opportunities. I mean, Jesus, Ben who? Oh.
Now, I'm right there with you, and I feel that same excitement with the passing, and I'm sure the people that have been listening to my tone for the last week or so, I've been screaming it. Do not sleep on the passing. Everyone is fixated on step-back threes, and they just emphasize that part of his game as if that's all he provides. He's washed. He doesn't want to be anywhere anymore. He's upset in Houston. He's upset in Brooklyn. He's going to hate you, too. He doesn't shoot the ball well anymore. He doesn't even enjoy the game. If he doesn't like playing with Kevin Durant, why would he like playing with Joel Embiid? Right? These are all these blasphemous comments that were continue to be thrown by so many different angles. And honestly, here's what you do know about James Harden. He puts players in such great spots to succeed. Then it's on the secondary part of it. Step one, put them in position. Step two, execution. And tonight there was plenty of great execution to accomplish their goal. But James Harden does it differently. Ben Simmons is up and down the floor playing at a pace that's super fast and wants to just kick out during fast breaks. And when there's somewhat a 5-on-4, you can get down court with, more bodies and get your players to the corners. He will find you when he drives, picks his feet up, and then he looks for the corner, or sometimes he even kicks it back into the other team that's defending and getting back. He's already past them. He picks up his damn dribble at the free throw line and tries to find somebody. He does that, though, right? He'll find his corner guys, but James Harden did it when the game was set. You could never run an offense through Ben Simmons. He would, if you remember, honestly, and don't say it's not worth even bringing him up anymore. Yes, it is, because now it's compare mode. When Jalen Hurts started playing with the Eagles, there was a time where you compared that to the Carson Wentz story because you're still trying to figure out the closure and the tone of the conversation while they were playing out their respected seasons this year. Same is said about with the Ben Simmons. So with James, the game is set now, and you can find your teammates and run specific sets. You can run pick and pops. Ben Simmons would get the ball. He would stop. Someone would pick it up, and then Ben would go stand there and do absolutely nothing. It is just not the case anymore. It's not even close to it. Doing nothing? You think James Harden is going to do nothing? You think that's the style of competitor he is? No, Ben Simmons is the loser that's unwilling to play the sport. James Harden would do anything. He likes his time outside. Okay, he likes the Delilahs. He likes the cheerleaders. He likes to have some fun and go party and get some wings at some establishments that might be associated with women taking his clothes off. But he's a damn competitor too. And when he's on that floor, it's all dog. He don't have a sniff of Ben Simmons in his body. If Ben Simmons had any of James Harden, he'd be a special talent. But that ain't the case. James Harden, you could tell the determination that this team is playing with right now. They seem locked in. It's our time. We're going to do it. You could see the brotherhood within this, the dedication of figuring out this perfect mold and just establishing a brotherhood. And I'm all here for it. This team is so damn enjoyable. And you know what's wild? It wasn't in the beginning of the year. There was so much toxic environment stuff happening that we were walking through the first 20 games of the regular season. And I remember there being dialogue about, wait, there was a game last night? Wait, you're telling me Embiid played last night? And then as Embiid kept together this MVP campaign and continued to add more force to himself, and he became must watch. Once that occurred, we all started to focus on that and get, this new level of emotions. But there was an early stage to this season where no one even gave an ounce of energy towards the results. And I think a lot of that has to do with football season still being in play and just the regular season in general for the NBA. But you had one guy holding out and you had no idea what the acquisition was going to be. You end up landing James Harden. Somehow, some way, there were people who hated that, which is just foolish. Do you not see what this is all about? And I am big on sample size. I'm not just overreacting to the one game and thinking this is how perfect and pure it'll be forever, because it won't be. Tonight was a good night. There was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of adrenaline. James Harden, oh man, we had pregame live showing warm-up shots of him just knocking down shot after shot after shot. And here we are with our jaw hitting the floor in excitement for warm-ups. The level of anticipation for us as a city, we called it Harden Week all sports talk radio long, because there was nothing more that we were waiting for with our adrenaline except for watching these two play together. This James Harden thing is sustainable. It's not a one-game thing. This is a sustainable style because teams now have to make a decision, and their decision is going to be extremely, extremely difficult to choose because it'll bite you in your rear end. All right, back to the phones we go. Anytime hotline.
Hey, bro, I just want to start off by saying I love the show. And I can't wait to go see these guys live. We look like a real championship contender team.
I completely agree with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to call in. I do think they look like a championship contender team because when you are carried by superstar talent, it's must watch. And speaking of getting yourself to a game, that's going to be outrageous to be in that atmosphere. Remember when they actually won home games? JJ Redick and that whole era under Brett Brown. They were magnificent in South Philadelphia, where teams would legitimately be afraid to step into that building and have any sort of like to be involved in any sort of loss or to be in sort of any crucial moment, a high leverage moment. It's a horrible place to be in when you're on the other side. I feel that it's going to be the same exact way. It's going to be so wild and so crazy. I'm not even talking just about the March game that won't even happen, that we all have written on our calendars, because the Brooklyn Nets and Ben Simmons won't be playing together. That won't happen. The March 10th thing won't happen, which makes no sense because Dragic, of all people, who is how old? And they're saying that he's going to go compete and his workload is fine and he's ready to go play. But with Ben Simmons, he's not ready to play yet. What did he do? I thought he went to St. Joe's. I thought he went around the city of Philadelphia and played in some of those local gyms. I thought he camped out the Camden facility and put in work in the Camden practice facility when everybody left and everyone went home for the day. Shouldn't he be ramped up and ready to play? Or are they just holding out for one game and he's not going to play until that time happens for a reason? It's sad. It really is. It's silly. It's a joke. And it still is going to be involved in my blood here for quite some time. So if you're going to be bothered by it, so be it. I'm being honest with everyone. I tell you the truth. I tell you how I feel. We're going to continue to mock him. We'll continue to monitor him. And we will continue to see what the Ben Simmons experience is like in Brooklyn. And the fact that they're ready to say that Dragic, of all people, can get back on the floor and his body's prepared, but Ben Simmons' body is somehow not prepared, do the math. Do the miles, do all of it. Add it all up. Let me know if that makes any sort of sense. I'll tell you for free. It doesn't make sense. What makes sense, though, is listening to you call into the show, and we have our next caller on. Good evening. You are on the air with Broads. What's happening?
Bro.
Yo, yo.
Hey, man. What a win. What a win. Now, I got to be honest here. I called a couple of weeks ago after the trade went down, and I was like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. But I called to apologize. You told me. You said it. You did say it. And what I saw tonight, I think we're in the conversation. I think we're in the conversation now. In the East, I mean, it's going to be a tough road if we have to go through Milwaukee, but I think we can get it done.
Sure.
I'm not worried about Milwaukee.
No, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. I think I'm right on the money with you, though, which is, why do you feel as strong as you do about winning a championship? Or why do you feel that they can go make a run? Because they have the actual NBA superstar talent that when you watch the NBA finals over the last 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, depending how old you are and how much your basketball fandom goes back, there's a reason why that when you watch that from a distance and you're in awe seeing those players, it relates to what we're seeing today. This is NBA championship caliber superstar play. When you watch the NBA finals, you see Joel Embiid's dominance. You see James Harden's dominance. Do I have to read you this again? Okay, James Harden was 27, 8, and 12 assists, 5 of 7 from 3. The step back was magnificent, and nobody could get into his way at all. I mean, it was crazy. Maxey, 12 of 16, 28 points. 4 steals, brought it on the defensive end as well. He got to the point where his teammates were so surprised and couldn't even fully comprehend that the ball was getting to them when they did, and then how much they could do with that time and space when the ball did hit his hands. I saw Embiid once roll to the basket, and he had to bobble the ball a little bit. There was maybe 2 defenders with him, but he had both on their backside as he's underneath the basket towards like the right side of the basket if you're looking straight on, but he's bobbling the ball 3 or 4 times, gathers it in his hands, and then an easy, nice finish over the top of the defenders. But the fact that he had to juggle it was almost like, oh, man, I can't believe that's here. And then he gathers it and is the pro that he is, finishes it off, gets the bucket, goes back to the defensive end, and then lather, rinse, repeat. And that's what we basically saw. We saw James Harden ready for it. He was the floor general. When you looked at his stats, sure, more turnovers than Chris Paul, but he was second in the league in assists in the NBA. That doesn't just happen. You don't just accidentally fall into that. You don't just have a selfish style of play, which is what we heard forever and ever and ever and ever about what he brings. He's selfish. He doesn't care. And Embiid's going to get worse because of him. Tobias Harris is going to get worse because of him. Tobias Harris had a bad day and missed shots. He wasn't in worse positions because James Harden was operating your offense. This is going to make every single player on the team better. From the Danny Greens to the Thibels to the anyone on the list, the George Niangs. Now, Paul Millsap had some tough minutes. He had some actually ugly stretches. We'll see what they do at the backup 5 position. Prior to that, we saw, 2 runs from him? It was the back end of the Boston game when they were already getting crushed, and I thought he did okay. Then he played at the Milwaukee Bucks game, and he had some solid minutes. This game was, whoa, Paul Millsap looks lost. So we'll see what that means for the next one. Veteran, new team, trying to show his worth, trying to prove his worth, and we'll see. Signing Willie Cauley-Stein, though, could be maybe like a push in the back, if you will. Like, yo, dude, you want it? Take it. It's yours. Take it. We'll see, though. Back to the phones. Hello. Hello, you are on.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, how's it going, bro?
It's going well. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, my God. I am elated.
Ooh, that's a good word.
Using some diverse vocabulary.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Oh
I haven't heard that in quite some time. By the way, 30 assists on 42 made baskets for the Sixers tonight.
Absolutely insane. I mean, like people talk about Steph Curry's gravity. Let's talk about James Harden's gravity driving to the rim. We saw Tobias make a three. I was stunned. James Harden driving to the rim, kicks it out to Tobias, and he made a couple threes in the first half. Didn't do anything in the second half.
Yeah, that's what you're going to get out of this team, though. His ability to find his teammates. Everyone talks about the selfishness, which I just think is insane. I don't know how you average the second most assists in the NBA, right behind Chris Paul. You average double digits. And keep in mind, it's difficult in Brooklyn with Kevin Durant and Kyrie. I'm not telling you Joel Embiid isn't ball dominant, because obviously their efficiency as a team ran through Joel Embiid. But there's a difference between being a center and then playing a two-man game as a point guard like James Harden is. And then Kyrie Irving is ball dominant. Kevin Durant is ball dominant. These guys are perimeter ball dominant players with Harden. The fact that that's what he averaged with other ball dominant perimeter players, you only knew that it would get sharper when you saw this style of team that could even benefit a James Harden just from stylistic looks.
Yeah, all that's true. I think there are just too many guys in the locker room on the Nets. And I think Harden is the perfect fit for the Sixers. Everybody, I can't believe that people really thought that the Nets fleeced us, that the Nets won the trade. The Nets got Ben Simmons, Andre Drummond, and Seth Curry, please.
Yeah, look, both teams got rid of players that were unhappy, that you knew didn't want to be in their respected towns, which is how the NBA works. When people are unhappy, that's what opens up the door. Damian Lillard would be right out of town if he said he wanted out. But he doesn't want to, and he dictates that. So when teams have stars that don't like their current status, that's when that opens up the phone calls for Sean Marks and Daryl Morey. And thanks so much. That's a great phone call. I appreciate your time. When you think about the situation, it opened up the door and both teams got help. Got rid of some damaged goods on their end and got help. They're missing Joe Harris. They get a Seth Curry. They need some help rebounding. They get an Andre Drummond. Ben Simmons, people feel that he's a positive because they're asking him to do less. I'm hearing Jalen Rose speak, right? And Jalen Rose is saying, well, Ben Simmons doesn't have to be what the Sixers needed him to be. He can just play defense. So you got a role player then. Ben Simmons isn't as good as you think he is, if that's what we're saying that he has to do. And then what do you think he's going to do on the offensive side? Stand in the corner as a stretch four? Come on, my ass. Here's some James Harden quotes. Tonight was a great start. We have a long way to go. We'll do whatever it takes every single day to build the right habits. So we're prepared when the time is right. And I love that a message. I love that tone. It basically is saying that we have a second half here after the All-Star break to reach our ultimate goal. There's going to be some ups. There's going to be some downs. But it was a great step in the right direction. And building the right habits is crucial. It's like what I was saying. Let's use Tobias as the example. Tobias Harris was not very good, but if you do what was ran today for some of Tobias Harris's looks, I feel that over time, it's a habit that I can live with. It's a thought and a belief and a concept and some strategy that definitely makes sense in my brain. And I feel as he gets more of those shots and he gets more comfortable and he feels those passes and knows when it's coming, or now he's anticipating it compared to tonight. Maybe you get to a certain spot on the floor and you realize, am I going to? Is this something we can manage? Is this capable? Will this be one of our sets? Now, let's say 5, 6, 7 games in, it's, hey, I know this is something we can run. I know this is a soft spot for me where I can definitely accomplish maybe a better look based off of some of the action ran and how I've seen defenders defend this look in games past. So ultimately, I like the blueprint. Sell me a good blueprint. I'm all here for it. And I like the rotations for the most part. I could be okay up 25 going to the all bench. And there have been times in years past and in this season's past where even when it did get ugly and it did get murky, he would keep that same lineup out to start the fourth. Instead, it's let's go back to what worked. Let's go back to what got us here. So you plug in a Harden. And I don't know if you would have even seen the all-bench lineup from Doc if it wasn't for the foul troubles for Tyrese Maxey. So don't lose sight of that either. I'm looking for Joel Embiid quotes, though, from the press conference itself. Patrick Beverley was bitching and complaining tonight. Patrick Beverley to the officials. Call the fouls on Joel Embiid. It's okay. He's not a champion, and he got no MVPs. All right. This guy's a clown. I respect his work ethic. I think we all enjoy his work ethic and his battle on the defensive end. But really, you're going to look at Joel Embiid and say that, oh, yeah, go ahead. Call the fouls on Embiid. He's not a champion, and he's got no MVP. It's like almost like, is he entitled? The way I'm reading this, now, obviously, I didn't hear it like word by word. I'm just reading the quote online on Twitter. So it almost seems to say that he's saying, like, who is he? Why is he this entitled to get the foul calls that he has? Well, I hate to break it to you, Patrick Beverly. The reason why that's the case, if I'm reading this the right way, if I'm going off on a different tandem here for no reason, then I apologize. But I can't imagine how I'm reading this the wrong way. First off, can anyone stay in front of him? No! So if you can't stay in front of him, what do you think's going to happen? I'll tell you for free. He goes to the line and takes his foul shots. Don't be upset with him because he's versatile. Jab step, back to the basket, establishing low post presence, deep threes, rolling to the basket, and finding a bounce pass as he's rolling, going hard to the rim. You name it. Soft touch, mid-range jumper. This is what happens, Patrick, when you are a defender and you have to guess, and you are afraid to guess because if you choose the wrong decision, which happens more times than not, you're going to get annihilated. And that's what happens. Darius with $5. I know it's only one game, but this makes Ben Simmons' pass on the dunk worth it. Well, of course, I even said just from a learning experience, you lose in the playoffs and it takes you far. It matters that you lose and you gain experience from that. No Ben Simmons flaws in Game 7 and in that series against the Atlanta Hawks, well, then that means no Joel Embiid this determined and this motivated to go win a championship. So whether you're talking about the physical trade, which is getting James Harden, and that dunk, meaning that pass dunk, that missed dunk, that foul for Matisse Thybulle on Trae Young there, when Trae Young and Ben Simmons right underneath the basket and he passed it away in Game 7. If you forgot, that happened in the Wells Fargo Center. Game 7, Ben Simmons passed up a dunk. He passed it up. It was wide open. He could have done it. He decided not to. He was afraid in Game 7 on the road to lose the Sixers a playoff series for how he's so enabled to play the sport. Ben Simmons, Game 7. The physical trade got you James Harden. The mental side, though, got you a Joel Embiid. And without the mental side, you're not even in a position. 200 yen from Mullet petition for Alvarado. Happy as Pat Croce with the sunshine on my bare bottom. That's awesome. All right, back to the phones. Good evening. Hello, welcome. You are on.
I want to know where all these clowns are at that said Embiid and Harden wouldn't work in the same offense together.
That's a great point. That's a great point. They looked so good. And I knew that they would figure this thing out. For it to be as smooth as it was Game 1, though, and it's not always going to be this way. You're human beings. You'll have a tough night on the road against a team that you should probably beat, and there'll probably be some outrage about it, even though big picture, the Sixers are just fine. But for Game 1, sometimes you really got to figure out one another's chemistry and what you like to do on the floor and find ways to get the ball in their hands. But the fact that it was this sharp just tells me the buy-in level, the focus level, the poise, all of it surrounding going to win a championship, it's there, and their execution tonight really supports that.
Yeah, I agree. And the way Maxey's playing, it's incredible. The fact that we got him as low in the draft that we did, it just seems like a steal of a pick at this point in his career.
Absolutely, and I feel that we forget about this, but during the COVID season of college basketball, there was no March Madness. And who knows if Tyrese Maxey, thank you so much for the phone call there, who knows what Tyrese Maxey would have done and where he would have been selected if he's on the main stage and he's on CBS, TBS, he's on all these broadcasts throughout the March Madness and he's balling, he's dropping 24, 26. Is he going as deep in the draft as he is? But I'd also say that part of him being this good is playing with Joel, is learning from Sam Cassell, is playing with Doc Rivers, is now James Harden, where, was he this level and this electric when he was playing at Kentucky? No, not this polished by any means. There's a lot about learning from these cats and what these players have done in this league and how much experience they have on the sidelines. Being in this current situation, I think, plays such a major role into Tyrese Maxey absorbing all of this and really spreading his wings into such a great player. He would be good in other cities too. Don't get me wrong. It's not as if this is the only one and there's no way he'd succeed in any other jersey. No, that's not true whatsoever. But that's part of why we are where we are right now with him. And yeah, you got to remember that happened. There was no March Madness, and that definitely gave Daryl Morey, Elton Brand, the front office, that chance to go snag some late. They've had success with some late draft picks. Landry Shamet ended up panning out. Who else did? Matisse Thybulle ended up panning out, even though I'm bothered big time by his lack of offense. Now Tyrese Maxey. So they do a good job in that department. But Maxey has really blossomed. The speed starts it all. It's such a change of pace. Embiid, bigger man, slowed down game. James Harden slowed down half court. It's not the only way he plays. I saw Embiid save a ball underneath the basket, which then the ball went into James Harden's hands. He's probably 15 feet behind the half court line. And then in transition, as he's running up the floor, he finds Tobias Harris right around the elbow part of the three-point line. And then he cashed it in, and it was bang, bang, bang. All three players, bang, 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 catches the ball. No hesitation, lets it fly. So it's not just a slow down game for him. He'll push the pace, and he has no problem driving towards the basket and getting fouled in those regards too. But ultimately, when you have a slow down Embiid, you have someone in Harden who just slows it down at a good level, a good pace. With Maxey, it's so fresh, it's so dynamic. I'd like to utilize the running back situation in the NFL these days to somewhat describe how this goes. And you have a Miles Sanders who can really hit a gap and fly, right? He's got the speed to take it to the house if he's healthy. Boston Scott. And then Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard, power, I formation, hand in the dirt, let's go, right? These are very important things, but that's different from Sanders. You have James Harden, you got Tyrese Maxey. That's the difference in Sanders and Howard. Now, obviously, not the same player comps, different spots in their careers, but just from the generalization standpoint of it's a different speed of the game. It's tougher. It's harder to stay in front of some of these defenders. Good luck. Pick your poison. Good luck. It's going to be hard. All right. Anytime hotline.
Votes. We have to thank the GOAT, Daryl Morey, for not giving up Maxey and Sato. This is going to develop them to be incredible players with having James Harden around.
You're not wrong that Daryl Morey played it the right way, where there was outrage by the fans. A little difficult to hear, but basically just to summarize, we got to give the GOAT Daryl Morey a lot of credit for waiting and playing that game where he gets the players that he's looking for in a Ben Simmons deal. And no doubt, Thybulle, I could live without Thybulle. I know that I'm maybe in a little bit of a different spot than most people, but I could live without Thybulle. I'm happy that he's here. Don't get me wrong. I'm not angry and start, utilizing some pitchforks here to run Matisse Thybulle at it down. Screaming with the pitchforks. No, I'm not to that level at all of hatred of him. I do have my fear, though, of what this looks like in an even slower half court in the postseason in the fourth quarter, and you need him defensively. But if he's hurting your offensive efficiency, it's harsh. But maybe Joel Embiid and James Harden and Tobias and Maxey can make up for that. Is the emphasis so harsh and so highlighted about the two guys I just continued to mention throughout the last 45 minutes or so? Is it so aggressive that, you know what, they can get it by? They can. Maybe cuts to the basket, opens the door for Matisse, where bounce passes can happen baseline as he's running baseline, and there's some anticipation on the double team, and the pass happens quickly, easy slam or an easy bank off the backboard for two for a layup. Because there is a lot of firepower offensively. Matisse slows you down offensively, but can your rating be so smooth that slowing you down is still okay? And when you play the pros of his defense and how that's going to force guys to turn the ball over, and you can head out in transition based off of your hands being in the cookie jar and getting some steals out by the perimeter, which then flies Tyrese Maxey for an easy two. Will the positives outweigh the cons? Maybe. I have to see it. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's in the cards. Sure is in the cards. Anytime hotline. Good evening.
Hey, am I on?
Yes, you are on. Good evening. How are you?
Good. This is Jim from Northeast Philly, and wow, this is going to be fun, man. This is going to be fun. I had high expectations going into this game because the anticipation was huge the second the trade was made. But wow, a 30-point drubbing the first game, and they just made it look easy out there. And obviously, the Timberwolves aren't the best opponent that we're going to face. They're not a bad team, but the fact that we just completely murdered them on their own court, like, this is going to be fun, man. This is going to be fun, and this is going to be wonderful.
It is. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are like a 500 team out west, and they're not a disaster, but they're not a great team either. I think they got under Karl-Anthony Towns' skin early, and that definitely dictated his frustration, and then he was bothered, and then he wasn't able to dial in as smoothly as he would like. But you're absolutely right. To see this team go out there, win by 30, you knew that they'd be excited to play for one another, but the ceiling is only going to get higher. If this is somewhat of the let's throw it together and see what the patchwork is like in a first scenario situation, you can only imagine that the expectations can go up, even though it's never going to be a straight line or a straight trajectory, I should say, up, and it only gets better every single game. Sure, there's some flaws to kind of work through and some kinks along the way, but there's no doubt that it can get even more aggressive with some of their sets, and that's a scary thing if you're on the other side.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And that's with Harden, he brings a whole dimension that Ben Simmons never did. And everyone's like, oh, don't even mention him. He's like Voldemort or something. Just don't ever mention him ever again. But, like, here's the thing. Like, we got something back real for him. We got back Harden. And some people were saying, oh, he's not enough. There's the same people who said that you'll never trade for a star. You'll never trade Simmons for a star. And now Harden apparently isn't enough. Anyway, those people are morons. I'm just happy what we have, and I'm already excited for the playoffs, even though we got like 20 games left, but I want to see what we do for the rest of the regular season too. It's just a very exciting time to be a Sixers fan.
It is. And thank you so much. Great phone call. Yeah, the reaction of get rid of him for anyone, and then you find out getting somebody really important who goes by the name of James Harden, and then all of a sudden that's not good enough. And you got someone who'll never work. He always wants out of town, and he's always unhappy, and he's had playoff woes in the past. I've tried explaining this to everyone out there where, I think it's easy to just sit there and say you lost the series in the playoffs before, and you had a couple ugly moments, and maybe you didn't show up as well as you would like to in a game 7, you will never win with him. He will never be good. Those players always are going to be failures. Every winner loses. Every winner at some point in their career went through some tough losses, bad moments, and pretty disgusting situations play out. People yell at LeBron James for not winning enough. And there was the time, let's say, the first year in Miami, they didn't win, when they probably should have won too, if you think about how talented their team was. There's been some tough losses for LeBron James. There's been some tough losses for Michael Jordan. Kobe Bryant didn't win a championship every single year of his career, and he was one of the best killers that we've seen out there. You don't think those losses played a role and definitely motivated Kobe Bryant to get back into the gym at 4 a.m. the next day? It's okay to lose, and it's all right to have some tough moments. It's what do you do with those moments? And I'm willing to find out if James Harden, especially when you think of the fair compensation that was given up, if James Harden paired together with an MVP of Joel Embiid, paired together with a young Tyrese Maxey who's flashy and extremely difficult to deal with off the dribble and even from three. The dude's got no hesitation to shoot balls from the three right now and just lets it go. Corner three, here it is. So off the dribble, mid-range, floater, he can attack the rim. He's starting to, just like with Joel, pick and choose your poison. Now it's pick and choose your poison on how to defend Tyrese. Do we let him get an easy two? Do we dare him to take a three? Will he have a floater if there's some space to target the paint area and by the free throw line, throw up a little? How do you do? Can that even be incorporated to maybe some, I don't know, so maybe some slams too, possibly? If there's ever some minutes where Harden's on the bench and you're running your team with the ball general that is Tyrese Maxey, can you find ways to maybe utilize a pick and utilize that floater game, but maybe make it a threat and then also have it be a lob like we've seen Trae Young destroy this team before in the past? If you're a pick and roll team, you stay up on them? Do you play back? Pick your poison. There's a lot to unpack here out of the Tyrese Maxey game. 12 of 16 with 4 steals. In what universe? Remarkable. That's the word I like to utilize tonight. Impeccable. What's the full-on definition of impeccable? Did I use that properly? I just typed in impeccable stats because normally I type in like Joel Embiid stats, Tobias Harris stats. I went impeccable stats. Of behavior, performance, or appearance in accordance with the highest standards of faultless. Okay. We're right with that. That sounds right. Phone lines sound right too. So why don't we go back to the phones? Hello. How are you? You are on. Okay. Going once. Going twice. You are on the air, sir. Or woman. Okay. I'm sorry. I did not hear a word you said. I'm almost in awe just sitting here actually trying to digest what we just witnessed. And what we just witnessed was a super fun game of basketball. And it just felt right. It felt like a team that has a motor and has a mindset. And I picture this team with their goals written out on a whiteboard or on some sort of board in their facility at Camden and at the Wells Fargo Center, and nothing's going to stop them. I use the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles as the example. There was one time in the beginning of the year where they were coming off a 7-9 season and you didn't expect them to win a championship. But at some point you realized due to their play that they had something, that they were a firm team, that they had this vibe surrounding their atmosphere in their locker room that just felt right to a serious run. And when I think of these two players right now that start that conversation here in Philadelphia, it's the same thing where once you realize they blew out Denver, once you thought about a Thursday night game against Carolina, right? When these things occur, you start to think differently about your teams that you're watching. And the Eagles had some of those games throughout the seasons where it went, oh, hold on, that was a turning point, or that made us change our expectations, or we felt the delivery was so much better that maybe that's who they became. And over time, that team created a new identity. Well, that's where we're at right now. And this new identity competes with the highest level of Eastern Conference play. Kyle Lowry and Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, I like our 3. The Boston Celtics, I like our 3. Now, DeMar DeRozan's balling, and there's no downplaying his effect right now with the Chicago Bulls, but I still like Harden's ability mixed together with Embiid's versatility. Who else is in that Eastern Conference? The Cavs, too young. The Toronto Raptors, not enough star power. Everything leans, really does, towards the direction of the Sixers with the most talent. Now, you still got to put the pieces together and execute, but it starts with having the most talent. Back to the phones we go. Hello. Hello. So this is the second straight caller goes on and doesn't say any words. Now, please don't abuse the system. If you would like to chime in and talk, please do so. I love having dialogue with everybody and hearing your thoughts on the game. We got 200 yen coming in from Mullet Petition for Alvarado. Is this real life? It's a great question. Now, I haven't seen some Joel quotes here. I've really never been wide open like this in my life. Seriously. I mean, the passes, like I wasn't even expecting it. So it seems more of Joel Embiid in awe of what James Harden provided for this basketball team. What else do we got? That's pretty much the moral of the story. Is he's astonished and he's in disbelief for the greatness of James Harden and his ability to pass the basketball beautifully. All right, let's try the phone lines again. This is our third attempt here to bring in a caller who will speak to us. Will you speak to us?
What's up?
Yo, hey.
Yo, so I just wanted to say James Harden and Joel Embiid have the hugest cocks in the whole entire Philadelphia region.
Yes, they do. Tonight, yes, they do. That's what I got for you. I hope that made your night. Oh, we got a text message from Craig in Sicklerville. Hey, what's up, Rhodes? I just got back from the game. It was crazy seeing Harden step back. Like every time he did it, he left us speechless. Tobias didn't even show up, and we still won by 31. It's amazing. Now, what do you mean you just got back from the game? You were literally in Minnesota, Craig? Craig, are you from Sicklerville and moved out to Minnesota? Now, what is that the case, or were you watching the game out with your buddies and then came home and maybe went to Xfinity, or you went somewhere out at the bar to have a couple cold ones and then found yourself back at home afterwards to see it? I'm a little interested on where this actually happened. Now, we do have a troller saying you beat the Timberwolves with a cracking up emoji. And it's funny that this is being discussed because win or lose, it wasn't about necessarily winning or losing. Obviously, we wanted to see them win, but it was about what changes within the flow of the team. How do the 5 players as a whole really bond together out there? What are some of their sets and their offensive plays that they are running? How do they get Joel Embiid the ball? What does James Harden look like facilitating the basketball? It's about what we could take away from this that we know can work for a long period of time, and less about, oh, did you beat the Timberwolves or not? Did you win 1 game out of 82 in a regular season? No, it's about how can we see something that works and then apply that to the long-term thoughts of this team. And that is what makes me more excited about it than just the outcome of technically beating an average basketball team. $2 from Aiden. Thank you for the donation. Look at Joel Embiid's Instagram post 15 minutes ago. Uh-oh. Do we have some trolling? Do we have Joel Embiid? Let's see. I'm nervous. What did he do? What did he do? What did he do? Can't believe this is my life. Yes, baby. Yes. Joel Embiid is the best, is he not? Joel Embiid is such an icon. Look at this. Dapping up Harden. Huge smile on his face. Picking up Matisse Thybulle with Tobias Harris after a foul, or maybe that was after the tip dunk at halftime. I'm not sure exactly when that was. It could have been at any point. But just dapping up everyone with Maxey. The team looks and smells like a team that actually believes in itself. It's a team that has the mentality of, we can do this. We have the talent to do so. And that's the beginning of it all. When you know, in years past, I think maybe they thought they had a chance, but that's a different feeling than deep down saying, hold on. See, they needed those losses in the past to say, okay, we saw what a Kawhi on another level was like. We saw what a Kawhi on a championship tear was like. How do I get to that? What can I do with my game to make sure that I put myself in the position to take steps forward so people talk about my run the way they talked about Kawhi Leonard's run? Now it's, I've seen it. I have enough playoff runs under my belt. I have enough playoff atmospheres under my belt. I've seen the championship caliber teams beat us. Unfortunately, I've seen lesser opponents beat us too, like the Atlanta Hawks last season, who were nowhere even close to the same level as the Sixers. But as we move forward, do you see a Kawhi, a LeBron, a Steph? That's what it takes. And now they see, when they look themselves in the mirror, we definitely have that. We have top 5 talent in the NBA. So now it's time to put your head down and make it all happen. And the fact that we get to enjoy this ride, let's go. Let's go. I'm also enjoying all of you out there as well, chiming in and listening in. Right now, there's 526 people with us just kicking it and talking about the Sixers, and I can't thank you guys enough. Let's get back to you out there. You're on the Anytime Hotline.
Yo, bro.
Yo, what's up?
First of all, I just want to congratulate, man. I think you do a phenomenal job. You know, I got a lot of respect for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Yeah. So first, I just want to get your thoughts on Tobias Harris. 'Cause remember, in 2019, he kind of faded to the background a lot as like a fourth option, and it was a little bit disappointing at times. What do you think his role is going to be and his future might be with this team?
I mean, for the offseason and all, obviously there's some speculation on Daryl Morey and what they might do. And I don't know what they're going to do. I do feel that Daryl Morey will always look to upgrade. So I don't think that Tobias is technically stuck here forever, or we're stuck with Tobias forever. But with that said, I thought he had looks tonight that he could cash in, and he's going to take a different role here. But I thought tonight was just a tough night for him, and he will be just fine. The game is going to open up for so many of these players, as we saw Maxey definitely do that tonight. And there's going to be nights where Tobias is the one that answers the bell, and maybe Tyrese Maxey has a bit of a weaker night and can't really find his rhythm, and maybe he ends up bricking some shots. So ultimately, I thought Tobias was bad today, and he's going to have some tough moments, but Tobias Harris last year averaged over 21 points per game in the postseason, shooting the ball at a 37% clip from three. If that's what you do this year, and you're not forcing Tobias to be the number two because Ben Simmons was unable to, if now he is giving you 37% from three, less shots, so he won't maybe score as many points, but the same efficiency, you could do damage with that.
Yeah, I just think his fit might be a little bit more like clunky than say a Tyrese Maxey, because he's a very unique player where he dominates the ball a lot, and despite being a very efficient shooter, he's not like a great catch and shoot guy. Like, you can't just plug him in like that. So I'm definitely interested to see how they get the best out of him, especially in a quick passing offense where he's not the quickest thinker.
Right, but when he does think well, and thank you so much, and thanks for all the kind words, when he does think quickly, that's the best Tobias Harris. We've stressed it when the beginning came here. It was less thinking, don't overthink, don't dribble, don't put the ball on the floor too much, don't overanalyze each possession, know what you're going to do with the ball before you get the ball. And when he does have that mental side of the game down, that's when Tobias Harris is the best. Once again, I feel it's a little strong tonight to just say that, yeah, Tobias Harris had 6 points, and I know you weren't saying it with that tone, but I've seen that reaction already because of the pure hatred of Tobias Harris, the player. Him as a stretch four next to Embiid and with James Harden, I think is a fine fit, and over time will be just okay. He just didn't make his shots tonight. Tonight was the difference of really just Tobias Harris not making his shots. I don't think it needs to be overanalyzed more than that. I think Tyrese Maxey definitely made a lot of noise for his game, but I don't think tonight is the overanalyzing of what Tobias Harris is going to be able to do in this offense. If he just made his shots tonight, we feel differently about it. That's what more of the problem was. Give it time. It was never going to be perfect right from the jump. This is a great start and a great spot to definitely put yourself in a nice position to feel comfortable moving forward. But don't just write off Toby because of this. Keep in mind, they haven't played in a while. The All-Star break was in play. So to just run back on the floor without a James Harden, let's say you're just getting back to your normal team without adding one of the best players in NBA history, one of the best top 75 players in NBA history. Let's say you're just running it back normal with just your standard team. You are going to have your own issues. So the fact that you're implementing a whole new person as your floor general, which is basically changing your quarterback position, and now you haven't played in a while, just breathe. Just breathe. Doesn't mean it's always going to be perfect, but just breathe, because there's going to be great games for Toby. There's going to be rough nights for Toby. The difference is you had to rely more on Toby because Ben Simmons was never able to grow into the player that he was supposed to. This is Tobias. This has always been Tobias. Tobias is giving you a Tobias-type season. Now, the beginning was really ugly, and that was more out of character. But as of late, you've gotten more of what you should get out of Toby. It's not that he's not maximizing himself as a player. This is sort of Tobias Harris. He's overpaid. Ben Simmons is unwilling to play the game of basketball. And the problem is he was so miserable in like the first month or two that his numbers are somewhat skewed and really ugly compared to, let's say, the previous 6 weeks before the NBA All-Star break. Eric chimes in the chat and says, we just won by 30. Can we stop finding ways to nitpick? I think it's fair to bring up that Tobias had a weaker night, but to say that he'll never have a good night again is definitely a little dramatic and a little too extreme. They decided to start Matisse Thybulle. We'll see what that means. I don't think they're married to that decision by any means, but it's something that ended up panning out today. And we just don't know if this is a team that can run with that fully for, let's say, 35 minutes of play. Can you play 5-on-4 for 34, 35 minutes of play in the postseason if Matisse Thybulle was to play that long and to defend the opposing team's best player for their length of time, because their starters are going to be playing, 38, 39 minutes too. So can you match Matisse Thybulle's defense with their said best player while playing 5-on-4 defensively? I don't know. It's going to be one of my biggest question marks, and it's not going anywhere until we actually get the answer, and we won't get the answer until the final series is finished and the Sixers either win that series with 4 games and lift the Larry O'Brien trophy, or the alternative is they're golfing early and we see Joel Embiid and Margate pushing the baby stroller around. Only time will tell. We'll take one more phone call here before we maybe wrap the show up. We've been going for over an hour, and I'm having a blast doing so, but I have to be up early tomorrow because I will be hosting on The Fanatic with Tyrone, 9 a.m. to noon. So we will be definitely running a great basketball conversation tomorrow morning on The Fanatic. But before we definitely do slow it down tonight, let's take one more call. Hello, good evening. You are on.
Hello. I was just wondering, let's say the Sixers bounce first round of this playoffs. Do you think that, what would you think a great trade is for Tobias Harris?
Yeah, I'm baffled by that. I really am. So we're sitting here right now tonight. I almost don't even want to give you an answer. We're sitting here tonight watching this team win the way they did. And what comes to your mind is if they end up losing in the first round of the playoffs, how and who should we trade to buy? Like, that's crazy to me. So you're just saying if they lose, no matter what, that the blame is all on Tobias Harris at that point. Even if, let's say, Joel has a bad series, I don't believe your hypothetical is going to happen. I think it's mind-blowing to even feel that way tonight. But let's say in your la-la land world that you do end up losing in the first round of the series. It ain't being because Tobias. That means Embiid and Harden sucked. That means Maxey sucked. That means the collective group as a whole failed horrendously. If this team has their that means something went wrong with Embiid and Harden. Because I'll be honest with you, you ain't losing in the first round and it just being on Tobias Harris. That means something went terribly wrong, because you just saw tonight that a great game by Harden, a great game by Embiid, and a great game by Tyrese Maxey won by 30 points. Whatever the hell the blowout was. 31 points? Tobias had 6. That's crazy to me. I'm actually a little hurt. Can we end on that? Is that something that we can actually end on? I don't know. It bothers me a little bit. It doesn't make me feel good. And I like to fall asleep on. And Eric chimes back into the conversation and says, "See, I got nothing for you, Eric. I literally, I don't think I can give you anything at this point. You got me. You got me. Unless that was you, just to maybe try and prove your point. I guess I can't rule that out either. All right, everyone. With that, I think we're going to shut things down here. We had a lot of fun tonight. So much going on. We live streamed the game. We did the post-game show. I can't thank you guys enough for this. We obviously will still continue to have the conversation throughout the weekend. So be aware. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button. Broads Media on TikTok as well. We're having fun over there. But make sure you are active and ready to continue this conversation throughout the weekend. Tomorrow and then Sunday, there's an afternoon game to keep our eyes out for against the Knicks. So I'm just saying, be aware and be ready to call in and talk about this team and to talk about the Sixers all throughout the weekend. Keep your eyes and ears open. Thank you guys so much. You are the greatest. I love you. And I will see you